Captain Marvel. I never reviewed this movie when it came out because I'll be honest with you guys, I was going down a right wing rabbit hole when this movie came out. And not to get too political or anything, but there was a lot of sexism about this movie that the right wing was throwing at it, attacking this movie, saying it's woke and shit. And I was kind of going down that rabbit hole with this movie. Um, and so I didn't really end up seeing it in theaters. I watched it once at home. Wasn't a big fan, but I really wasn't a big fan, not because of the movie itself, but because of that right wing rabbit hole I was going down. And I'm glad I'm no longer going down that rabbit hole because I'm a person who loves art and filmmaking and things like that. And I feel like so much of that talk destroys movies. But now I'm here to finally review this movie and give it a fair shake with the Marvels coming out not next week, next month, 2 weeks away, or 1 week away probably by the time I drop this video. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this movie, even though I don't like this movie. So let's start with what works for this movie. This movie gets a lot of hate, but let me talk about what works. Samuel Jackson is great in everything. Let's just agree on that. Like, there's bad movies Samuel Jackson is in, but he's not bad in them, if that makes sense. The de aging CGI for him looks so good. He looks great. But yeah, some of the effects looks cool, I guess, and nope, nothing else works about this movie. Let's get into the bad. So, this movie is bad to me on a couple levels. First of all, it made no sense how this movie was released. So this movie was released in between Endgame and Infinity War, and that's why this movie made $1 billion, right? But here's the problem with that release: it doesn't make a lot of sense because a lot of the marketing was playing it off like this character was made to defeat Thanos, and then it also didn't make sense because it made people wonder why has this character been away from the Marvel movies for so long, and they still didn't really give a good explanation. The way she shows up in Endgame and stuff is weird. I'm not really that's a full criticism of this movie, but it does make this movie really weird. The choices that they made because of this, like, first of all, it's a prequel. Why? Um, couldn't it just be set now? Because it feels very awkward that this character's been just hanging out for a while. There's not really any point to the narrative that makes me think it needs to be a prequel, other than it's just a prequel now. Like, I don't know. Felt very weird that it was set in the 90s. I'm not really sure why that choice was made. And also they didn't do a lot of movies that 90s movies do. Um or not 90s movies, but movies that are set in the 90s do. They play a lot of 90s music. They kind of have fun with it. I had the same problem I have with this movie that went over in 1984. Why are you sitting in the 80s or 90s if you're not playing any of that music to have fun with it? This movie has a little bit of 90s music, but the 90s music, you can tell, probably wasn't put there because it was fun. It was put there because it was very female focused and it was very cringy. It's like, okay, this is really dumb. And then it's just like, why is this like an origin that's told backwards? Like, she's discovering and used as a weapon, and you're like, I don't know anything about this character at the end of the movie. Like, I know her origin, but I feel like I know nothing about her. She's not interesting. Brie Larson's performance is very wooden. Like, she has some scenes where she's watching parts of her backstory and she's learning stuff about her, and she has the most wooden performance. And I don't understand why it's so weird. I don't think Brie Larson is a bad actress. I think it's so weird that her performance is so wooden. I feel like it obviously has to do with the way she was directed in this movie, but everybody else's performance was good or just fine. Like, she's the only one that just feels off in this movie. These Marvel movies have to have a certain level of charisma, and she didn't really have that charisma. And then I just don't get her origin. I'm like, why are we telling it backwards? It doesn't really make this movie interesting. I'm just very frustrated by a lot of weird choices that they make during this whole movie. And it just makes this movie, like, it's there. I literally watched it today, and I just don't remember anything about it. Just because it's just boring. I do like that this movie set up the scrolls and all that stuff, and how that was factored into Secret Invasion, which I kind of enjoyed. And so, that's fun. But as a movie as a whole, This looks bad. This is just bad. But I am excited for the Marvels. I really love Miss Marvel. She's my favorite Marvel character. So I'm excited to see that movie, right? But yeah, I did not enjoy this movie. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you're a sexist pig and you hate women. With that, I'm going to sign off for the video. Yay!